1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to Codex History of Video Games. My name is Tyler Osby.
And I am Michael Coletta. Full name today. Full name.
That's true.
Watch out.
Full legal name as it appears on your birth certificate, so I'm told.
Still arm pumping. Not afraid.
Yeah,
not afraid because it's a spooky
going.
episode. It's a scary episode today.
Yep, we're continuing the spooky season stuff. We're talking about Until Dawn today.
Yeah. So let's give a little bit of context. So the reason we're doing this one, it's a spooky game, and we're in spooky
It is
season.
very spooky. This is the epitome of spooky games, if you ask me.
Very scary, okay? And also, it's a game that Tyler and I both played, and I believe it was in 2017
That
at a
sounds
Halloween
right.
party at your house. We all played this with people, and I kind of want to come back to that later on, but that's kind of like we're going to talk about our experience today too, because I remember that night as being really fun.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm excited to talk about it, but let's get into the grime facts first. So this game was developed by Supermassive Games.
Any relation to Muse from Supermassive Black Hole, a song? All right, bad joke.
No.
Cut.
Nope, cut it out.
Cut it out.
You know what? Let's just cancel the pot. No, I'm just kidding. It was published by Sony Computer Entertainment, and it was released pretty back-to-back, because, again, this game came out in 2015. So in North America, it was August 25th. In the PAL region, it was August 26th. And in Europe, it was August 28th. So of 2015. So that's pretty close together, right?
Yeah.
The system it came out on was PS4. It was a PS4 exclusive.
It was a big reason to buy a PS4 because this was like a year and a half after the PS4 came out, probably, and it was like the first time. Not the first time, but it was one of those games where you look at it and you go, "Oh shoot, this is way better than like what you could get on PS3."
Mm-hmm. It was a big deal. We'll talk about that too when we get through the development part of it. But there was also a Windows and PS5 remake that came out in 2024 that we'll talk about later. That's probably the best way to play.
It is,
I would say now, but honestly, there are some subtle story differences. So if you're trying to get the original experience, you need to play the PS4 version.
And I'm sure there are people who are huge fans of the game who will tell you that the remake somehow ruined everything and that you just need to play the original.
Yeah, because there's some minor story tweaks and ending changes, I believe.
They do a little bit more of fleshing out of certain things. There's like a couple of extra scenes. Some of the DLC is like more tightly woven into the storyline, I think. Yeah.
So that number of copies sold in the Grime Facts, this is kind of cool because we don't get to do games this new that often. So this game came out in 2015.
It's only 10 years old.
It's only 10 years old. So I figured we could cover it because it's 10 years old. But also, it's pretty big in the horror genre of video games, I would say. It's pretty influential.
Yeah.
But a Game Informer article at the time of release in August 2015 said Until Dawn was the 7th best-selling game that month, which is pretty cool. And then in GameSpot in October 2015 actually had a little article about how Sony and Supermassive. I'm going to do that because Supergiant Games made Hades and stuff, and I'm going to think about that the whole time.
You've been seeing that Hades logo or that Supergiant logo a lot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the time. But Supermassive and Sony were actually surprised by the sales. Like, sales were better than they expected, and it prompted calls for, like, spinoffs and sequels and stuff. But if we want to get the real data, because Sony doesn't really release sales data, there was a leak in 2022, and I believe it was through Insomniac Games, where somehow we got Sony sales data of all sorts of games, and Until Dawn had shipped over 4 million copies, according to that.
And that's
so
before
shipping
the
4 million
remake.
copies, yeah, that's pretty good, okay? Like, for 2015, 4 million copies for a major game, pretty great. So, genre or gameplay style is... Survival horror is the genre, but I would say the gameplay style is interactive movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a walking simulator with quick time events. And
choices
like it.
you
That's
make.
kind of
You make choices though, like dialogue choices, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
And you gotta do some detective work.
Okay, all right. There's okay.
Yeah, let's give it a little more credit.
Okay,
Give it a little bit more
right.
credit, okay? Yeah.
I don't mean walking simulator as like a pejorative. Like that's walking simulators are great.
Maybe that's me then. Maybe that's me that looks at walking simulator as a pejorative. Because when people say walking simulator, in my mind, I'm like, this game is lame.
That's like
you just walk around. Yeah, it's like, you don't do anything.
I think there are good walking simulators.
Okay, especially the Codex walking simulator that Tyler and I are working on. It's the first quintuple A game, just so you all
That's true.
know.
Quintuple A. Yeah, quadruple A didn't work out. We're skipping
We're
right to
going
quintuple.
quintuple. Yes, the two
Yeah.
of us are making a quintuple A game. We are both horrifically in debt and will never come out of it.
Billions in debt.
Please buy a copy. Okay, so so average time to complete. Sorry, we're getting distracted. We're recording at night too, which
Yeah,
makes
we
this
don't
kinda,
usually record at night. You can't, if you're watching the video, you can tell because my lights like are a little bit oranger, and one of my lights is actually broken, and so it's just green when it's supposed to be orange, which doesn't happen during the day when the lights are cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it's different. It's different right now. The vibe is different, but I kind of like it. So average time to complete. This is from howlongtobeat.com. Main story is 8 hours. Main plus extras 9.5 hours. Completionist is 19 hours. I'm assuming when they say completionist, they mean you've seen every branch, which is crazy.
Yeah, honestly, 19 sounds short for that because I would think you got to play through this game at least 4 or 5 times to see everything. But
I have a fact from an article that was, I think it was here. What's it from? I got it right here. It's a Kotaku article called "The Making of Until Dawn" about the script length of this game, and I'm excited to. It's the fact of the episode, probably. So, the Metacritic score is 79 out of 100. So it's well received. It's a good game. People like it.
Yeah, it didn't blow the doors off anything, but it was neat. And if it looks cool to you, you'll probably think it's cool.
Yeah, and we'll get into the Metacritic score of the remake at the end. But let's just really quick. I'm going to do a very brief plot summary, but I'm not going to say any spoilers because this game is so much about seeing it for yourself.
Yeah,
this is not like most video games we cover. I would say this is straight up a movie, and I don't want to spoil the movie.
I would also say that like the things that make it notable as a game are not like the story is fine. It's pretty standard horror movie story stuff. So I feel like it's okay to not talk about it because I wouldn't say that's like, it's not a weak point. Like it's good, but it's not like this is the reason we're talking about it right now is because the story is so good. I have to tell you about this one part that blew everybody's mind. Like, no.
Yeah. I also should say too, like inspiration behind why we're covering this. Every Halloween I've noticed it comes back up on like YouTube. Like people are like, I think Game Grumps are doing it this year, which is like pretty big because they've never done it before. But like, and that's how I saw it like pop up on my YouTube. But I mean, Game Grumps did it. They just did the remake in 2024. And then on top of that, they have other games too. Supermassive does like what's the Man of Medan? Is that it? Is that the name of the game? I never played it. Again, this game's really scary. I wouldn't play this by myself.
Let's see. They have many. Oh, they did the Little Big Planet games.
They did. That's how they started. That's how Supermassive is actually a really interesting company because they were kind of a PlayStation Move company first. We'll talk about that in the development a little bit. And that's actually how this game started. But they've kind of had their hands in a lot of different things. So I kind of want to give them their props.
Doctor Who: The Eternity Clock.
Mm-hmm. They did a bunch of stuff. But yeah, so they did another like game like this where it was a story with branching paths. I don't know how well it did compared to Until Dawn because Until Dawn was like the first and it was pretty crazy. The Quarry might be it.
That was Supermassive. It seems to be about as well received as Until Dawn, maybe a little better.
Ooh, okay, good
so
to know.
We might need to play that. I mean, it's not spooky.
Yeah.
It's not a spooky game. Well, I think it's kind of thriller, but I don't think it's like a horror game.
This is straight up a horror game. But the other reason that I thought of this is a movie just came out of Until Dawn this year.
About 6 months ago,
So I was thinking, this would be a great one to do because maybe we could watch the movie together too because we can do a little movie commentary. So that might be coming down the pipeline. Yeah. Because we also both know the story, so hopefully we'll get less scared.
Yeah.
That's how that works, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, if you know what's coming, it makes it less scary.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so the plot, though, I'm just going to read the synopsis on Steam. I was trying to see if in 2015 they still had game manuals, and it seems like that's a no. By the way, that's how
that
long
PS4 era is kind of when they, towards the end of even I would say the generation before is when the manuals kind of started disappearing.
Because I was like, oh man, how cool would it be to get a manual and read that? I really like reading the plot synopsis of the manuals for
there's
the
probably a
games we
PDF.
cover.
I bet there's like a QR code that took you to
I
a
looked
PDF.
for like PDF and stuff. I couldn't find it. But yeah, watch. You're good at internet sleuth it better than I can. Okay, so I'm gonna read this to you, Tyler. Don't get too scared. It's just like 2 or 3 sentences. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
When 8 friends return to the isolated lodge where 2 of their group vanished a year prior, fear tightens its icy grip, and their mountain retreat descends into a nightmare with no escape. Are you scared? Was that good, Tyler?
No, I'm not. I'm good. No, I'm good, dude.
Tyler's never been braver in his whole life in this moment. So that's the very brief plot synopsis. Think of it this way. The plot of this movie is you are a group of teenagers. It is a slasher style teen horror film. That's what they're
classic,
doing.
to be
Pretty
honest.
classic. But I will tell you, they start classic and it kind of unfolds into something else. That's the only thing I'm going to kind of talk about as far as the story goes. That's the only thing I'm going to mention. The breadcrumb is that they set it up to be this slasher thing, and then more stuff is going on than that in the background, and it's really cool, and there's mysteries to uncover, which I liked. So the other plot thing I want to talk about is actually how the plot is presented. So a lot of big time actors were actually in this game. We got Hayden Panettiere plays Sam. Rami Malek plays Josh.
Yeah, this was pre Mr. Robot Rami Malek too.
Yeah, and then I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Peter Stormare, is that correct?
Sounds right.
But he's a character actor in so much stuff, and he's so good. But he plays Dr. Hill, the psychologist character in the game, and he is he also played Satan in the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves, and he does an amazing job.
That's where I recognize him from.
Yeah, do you like my deep pull? That's a pretty deep pull. That's he's
one of those guys that you see and you're like, that guy's in stuff. I don't know his name, but I've seen him in dozens of things.
Yeah, Peter Stormare is an awesome actor, and I feel like his scenes, because what happens in the game is you cut between this and you cut between scenes with him, and you'd think those scenes with him would be boring, but he makes them really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the fun part about it. So, but Until Dawn, essentially a playable, big budget horror movie, and it's great. And that's why we're talking about it today. So we're going to get into the gameplay a little bit. So if you're interested in this game, there's a really good Polygon article called Until Dawn, The Surprising Ambition and Curious Fear of Supermassive Games. And that's my primary source I'm using to kind of fill in the gaps of my memory here about the gameplay, because Tyler and I played it in 2017 and it's been a long time, so we're trying to remember, right?
And I watched a couple videos. We gotta play it again though, because
we should play it again.
It's worth another play, especially because different stuff happens every time you played it. So I probably played through it twice, so I have definitely not seen everything.
Yeah, we should play it again, but I really want to push playing it in person, and we'll talk about that at the end. I want to kind of save it to the end to talk about that in the legacy part. So anyway, the main gameplay mechanic of Until Dawn is called the butterfly effect. And this is the idea, the stereotypical butterfly effect explanation is a butterfly flaps its wings, and then halfway across the world there's a hurricane because the butterfly flapped its wings. It's made famous by a not very great Ashton Kutcher movie, is my understanding of the butterfly effect.
Don't besmirch the good name of Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher. And no, I have not watched it in 20 years, and no, I will not be watching it again. I loved that movie, and I don't need to watch it again.
That's right. There you go. This was the episode that tore Tyler and I apart.
No, it's probably not very good, but I do have fond memories of watching it.
I never saw it, so I just know it was not received great. That's what I mean by it.
Yeah,
before anyone in the comments goes Butterfly Effect's one of the best movies that's ever made. Okay,
great. So I agree with you.
The point is, in Until Dawn, your choices matter, and I put that in all caps because I feel like unlike any other game that says your choices matter, Until Dawn actually shows you where, if you went wrong in your opinion, what happened, right? It's who lives, who dies, what mysteries are uncovered. It'll all be because of the choices you make or the quick time events you fail, which makes it really fun.
That is what is interesting about it, is because while there are a lot of choices that you make that can cause deaths and stuff, you can actually, some deaths are failure states, right? You did not do the thing in whatever quick time event, and now that person is dead. And no, you can't reload your save because it is saving all the time.
And I love that. It forces you into these choices, which is really cool. So the game is really just walking around in third person, static camera, finding clues, and having conversations with characters. It feels very Resident Evil-y with conversations with other characters, right? And occasionally you find these totems, and those totems will show you a potential future that can happen, and that's kind of the only guide you have, but you don't know what the right choice is, and then you start what happened to me is I felt like I saw the totem and I saw something that could happen, and then that like I tunnel visioned in on that, and because of that I made like other choices somewhere else, so it kind of like messes with you a little bit. And this is where I want to talk about how to play the game. I think this game is best played in a party setting where you pass the controller around and everyone plays, and that's how Tyler and I did it together. And I think it would be even more fun if you want to escalate the fun. This is something I haven't done before because I'd never had enough people. There are 8 characters in the game. If you each picked a character and played their part, that would be ideal.
Yeah,
I think.
that's a good idea. It's tough if you're in a party situation where there are people who are like they don't play games, they're not very good at them, and they don't want to because they'll fail the quick time events, and then.
But I think that's more
die.
fun. Yeah. I think that's what makes the game more fun is like when people like failing those quick time events. It's like D&D where like if you fail a roll, sometimes funny things and entertaining cool things happen because you fail a roll. And that's what I think makes Until Dawn endearing in that sense. So I would say let those people that don't play video games play. I think it's a fun idea.
Let them fail. It's all good.
Yeah. The games does have jump scares just like any other like horror movie does, right? And some of them are truly horror, but then some of them are also the classic trope. And this is the only spoiler I have because one of the biggest jump scares to me in the game is at the very beginning where a wild animal is in the cabin and it jumps out at you. It's like very scary because it's like you're kind of walking around the cabin or the lodge and you're like getting stuff, you're not really thinking about it too much, and then boom, there's just like this animal that jumps out at you, which gets you pretty good. So that's the gameplay and the plot point. So for the development, there's a Kotaku article called The Making of Until Dawn that goes into a lot of development for the game. That's primarily what I used, but we're going to start with the elephant in the room, which is if this was supposed to be a title for the PlayStation Move, like what happened, right? And there's actually an archived it could have been really cool, and apparently it was well received. Like there's an article from IGN, it's archived from 2012, that talks about how the game works with the PS Move, and this is actually from them showing it at Gamescom, which is a really important moment in this game's history. So we'll get to that in a second, but the quote is, "It's been developed from the ground up for Move, and Sony's motion controller is the only way you interact with and navigate your way around the game. It acts as a torch, and you move a beam of light cuts through the darkness. But you also move in the direction the wand is pointing, holding down the analog trigger harder to move faster." End quote. So that's from IGN seeing the demo at Gamescom.
Sounds cool. So you're always moving like kind of towards where your flashlight is pointing, or torch, I guess, if we're British like Supermassive is.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the idea. That was the design aspect of this. Now, this didn't happen, obviously, right? So what happened? Well, Until Dawn started the Move controller torch-based game actually in 2010, but switched it to like from a first-person shooter with the Move controller to a third-person narrative game in 2012 after this Gamescom reception.
After it did well.
Yeah, so it did well at Gamescom, and then they changed it. And so you're probably saying, like, if it got a positive reception, why change it? Well, the reason is Until Dawn was PlayStation Move required. So while the game had all this good social media backing behind it, so much feedback was, I don't own a PlayStation Move, and I'm not going to buy one for this game.
That's how I feel about like Half-Life Alyx, where I'm like, this game is awesome, so fun, so cool, very innovative. I'm not gonna buy a headset for it, and so I still have not played it in any meaningful way.
Or is it the Valve? Is it the Index? Is that what they call their
Yeah, I think you can play it on lots of different stuff.
But isn't it like $1,000 or something?
Yeah, theirs is very expensive. There are some cheaper
it's like
ones.
Fingers, like individual fingers. Your fingies move with it.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, you can play it on like other headsets too. It kind of works on a lot of different things, as far as I know. But I'm not gonna get a VR thing just for Half-Life Alyx.
Dude, I watch so much VR video game YouTube now because, like, I want it. But I'm also like, would I really play it? And that's the best way to experience right now is just playing, like watching people play on YouTube. that's honestly the best way to see it, I think, right now. Like, I probably should just watch a long play of Half-Life Alyx. I haven't done it yet thinking, well, I might play it someday. I'm never going to play it.
I feel like there's a mod coming out or was being worked on to make it not a VR game. And I think in that context, it's kind of like, All right. Well, this is a little
I
bit of a
kind of
because like the VR stuff is really what makes it. But for those trying to get the story of it, at least I think there's like a mod.
it seems
Non-VR
odd to me
version.
that Valve wouldn't release that. They wouldn't like wait a year or two and then come out with Half-Life Alyx, just the Steam version that you can play on your keyboard, because people would play it.
Yeah.
It's just more Half-Life, which is what people have wanted.
Yeah, people would. I mean, I can see a game director like being like, no, this is a VR game. How dare you?
Yeah, like this is my masterpiece.
You know, like
So,
Christopher Nolan doesn't want you watching Oppenheimer on your phone.
I watch it on my smart
but
fridge, so
You watch it on your smart fridge. Well, that is the proper aspect ratio for that movie, and I think that that
Also,
Christopher
I don't
Nolan
own a
agrees with you.
smart fridge, so I actually a smart fridge. So I go to Best Buy and I plug a USB stick into it and I watch it at Best Buy. They hate me. Okay,
Hey, you've watched the movie like 6 times.
They hate it. So so the feedback from the PS, like not owning a PS Move, is really what made them decide to switch. So they went back to the drawing board and they used a debug camera they already had to kind of make the game third person, and they're like, oh, this is it. Like this is the film aspect of this game. So then with the PS4 on the horizon, Supermassive and Sony met and they agreed to delay until dawn for PS4, because this game, they're like, we are trying to make a cinematic game and we want the best graphics possible. So it's in both our best interests, Sony to use our game to show off the PS4 and then us to get our game on the PS4, because it's like the biggest console, like the hardware wise at the time, the best hardware. So they chose to do this, and then they added all entirely new graphics, animations. They took the care to like get really good facial recognition on the actors. They look like the actors in real life. It's kind of wild. So like the only thing I noticed from like watching video of it is the mouth movements aren't 100% correct, but I think any game is
Pretty hard to nail. Although I will say LA Noire is pretty good with the facial capture.
Ooh, you love LA Noire. We'll talk about
I
that
do.
probably at the end. So we're going to talk about more movie games at the end. But what's interesting to me is the story of this game actually started in 2010. Like they had the idea for this kind of horror game in 2010, and it was written in-house at first, but then they brought in 2 experienced Hollywood writers, Larry Fessenden and Graham Resnick, to write the script. Here comes the fact of the episode. After they wrote all the different branching paths, the script was 10,000 pages long.
That's so many. What size font?
I don't know. Double spaced?
Whatever.
I mean,
I'm sure there's a standard for like movie scripts.
Yeah, but it was really, really long because they had all these branching paths, right?
Wow.
By the way, Larry Fessenden, would later act in the game as this like flamethrower wielding stranger that you see. That I'm just gonna say that. I'm not gonna say anything more than that. But that's who he plays in the game, because they were both like experienced Hollywood guys, both actors and writers. So they just popped right in and did it.
Is that what the Billy Joel song's about? 1977 classic, The Stranger.
The Stranger? I don't know. Probably about a flamethrower wielding person. Definitely. So they completely redid the graphics and the lighting engine for the game, and they even like in-house, it was kind of controversial, but they stuck to the Resident Evil static camera. Now, when I say that, I mean the camera, like when you're doing gameplay and there's no cinematics, it's like facing an angle. You can see your character walk around. It doesn't move until it transitions to a new area. Then it picks a new angle, right? Like kind of like a security camera screen, right? That's what it seems like. But they found that this graphics, this style of camera angle actually made the mood they wanted. And I would agree, because like that's what made Resident Evil so scary, is the like they had stuff popping out into that camera angle. You know, it felt really good.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing here. But there is a fun note they mentioned in that with that static camera, they found out if you have a transition at a door or an opening, it really makes everything more confusing for players. So you'll notice most of the time in the game, when the camera transitions, you're like in the middle of a room. It doesn't really happen that often at doors, unless very specific story reasons, like hint, hint, someone getting attacked or dying or something scary happening, right? They'll save it for that, but most of the time it's for when they transition. It's in the middle of a room or something. It's very easy to read and easy to see. So the game's score, and this came from the that same Polygon article I mentioned before. It actually was composed by Jason Graves, who started composing the music in 2011 and had previously worked on Dead Space. So I thought this was kind of cool.
He knows about making spooky, atmospheric.
Yeah, so
Cool.
the horror game Dead Space and the horror game Until Dawn, same composer. I just thought that was a fun little fact in there. So we'll talk about the remake for a little bit here. So that came out for PS5 and Windows in 2024. They mostly did like graphical updates, but they also did some minor things and tweaks to the story. And looking at the reviews at the time, it was kind of, I'm going to describe it as the typical remake treatment, where it's like the game's media goes, game's still good, right? But they're not doing anything new. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I got from looking at the reviews and stuff, because they just didn't really add too much. And like Tyler and I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, some people were like, they ruined it. They ruined the story. Like these changes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty substantially graphically updated. I mean, they remade the whole thing on Unreal Engine and stuff, so it was rebuilt from the ground up. But I don't know to what extent, I suppose.
Yeah. So the legacy of the game, and we're going to talk about another thing at the end here, but Until Dawn actually had multiple spin-offs, and I only knew of one of them. So there's a VR game called Until Dawn Rush of Blood that's like a roller coaster shooter kinda, and it was just like kind of seen as fine, right?
Yeah. How does it
But
fit in story wise? Is it
it doesn't, from my understanding. Like this, like it's kind of vaguely touches on the events of the first game, but it's kind of just like a horror shooter. It seems like it's. I don't really know, honestly. Like, and I was reading stuff about it. I'm like, why did they just throw Until Dawn's name on this? Like, I think they just did.
Okay.
The second game though, which I had no idea even existed, was called The Inpatient, and this was a VR game from 2018. Have you ever heard of this one, Tyler?
No, I have not.
It is essentially, without spoiling too much, you are in the same world as Until Dawn in a prequel.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say, because if I said more, then it might actually give away a key beat of the story in the first game that we're talking about. So, but it's a prequel and it's a VR game, and it was kind of, well, it was received just fine. It sounds like it wasn't good, wasn't bad. It was just like a fine game, right?
It's tough with these VR games because like not very many people play them. Not very many people are able to play them, and so it's just like, well, when it's just fine, you're like, well, okay, I'm not buying a headset for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what was going on. So spin-offs aside, though, the game is really fun, and I wanted to cover it for Spooky Games Month because it's just a good time with friends. Like I would say, that's how I would encourage anyone to play this game: is turn off the lights, like pass around the controller, and then laugh/scream at the QuickTime event failures, because that's the fun part
Yeah.
to me.
The
is
first
when people
time,
fail.
the first time I played this game, I was very privileged. We have like a cool little theater where I work, and so like after work, shortly after this game came out, like a bunch of people were like, okay, we're gonna play Until Dawn. We're gonna play it in the theater. We're gonna turn the lights off, and so we played on like this big projector screen that was very cool.
That sounds awesome. See,
Yeah,
and like
it was a really good way to play.
that's a fun way to play these games, I think. So I kind of wanted to, and we don't really. I mean, we talked about like the FMV craze, right? But this is not the FMV craze. This is interactive video
Yeah,
game.
this is a little more on the level of like Heavy Rain or those Quantic Dream games. Although I would place this as more of a game than those, like of a game like interaction. Those are much more like playable movies, I think. This is
and they're
like
not like Telltale either. Like Telltale, I
Yeah.
feel like is just you're making choices and you're talking through dialogue. Telltale games felt more like a visual novel at times.
Yeah.
when I played them,
or like a
So,
really fancy DVD menu.
yeah, a really fancy DVD menu is a good way to put it. But yeah, so I mean, as far as the legacy of these kind of games go, though, I know you mentioned LA Noire as being one that you like really enjoyed, and I have not touched that game at all.
Yeah, well, it
So-
did come out before this game, so this game
It did.
builds on the success of LA Noire. I mean, I don't know. LA Noire's big like innovation was a lot in its facial capture of like the ability to like really get. That's why they got real actors to play the parts, because you needed in that game you needed to be able to like see if somebody was lying. Like that's part of the game, is like reading their face and their like body
Oh.
language, and so they needed to be really really accurate with how they captured that stuff. But it's much more of a game than this as well. And I don't mean that in like a negative way, but it is.
Yeah.
But LA Noire focused a lot on that.
And this is
facial
very
capture.
much more a you're playing through a movie kind of thing. So
Yes.
more like Detroit Becoming Human,
Yeah.
Quantum Break, maybe those kind of games.
Yeah. I would put it in the same thing as those. Yeah, but it's definitely good, especially with friends who maybe don't play that many games. I mean, I know I just was talking about how like you could fail a quick time event and then people in the game die. But because it's like a horror movie, you can kind of bring some people in and like just be like, hey, if you just want to sit here, hang out and watch, like it's just a movie and you don't know what's going to happen and you can yell while things are happening. And like, that's fun. You know?
Yeah. I just realized there was a thing I forgot to mention in the, like development part of this, but the characters, you don't really like any of them. And that's kind of intentional because my understanding of this was they wanted you to like go into it like every other horror movie where you meet these characters, they all have flaws, but you still are rooting for them anyway. And so that's kind of something they did intentionally, which I really liked too, because there are people and there's lines in this game also that you're like, oh, this is very much like, I don't know if they're parodying teen slasher movies or if they're just straight up being a teen slasher movie.
Yeah,
You know
maybe
what
a
I
little
mean?
bit of both. If it was funny, it's a parody. If it was not, then it was just an homage.
There's like a part of the whole like of the plot where like two players just make sexual innuendos back and forth while they're together the whole time while they're trying to walk back to their cabin, and you're like, okay, we get it. But yeah, so it's a really fun game, and it's a really fun game to play with friends, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it into this week, because I'm like, we really appreciate those kind of games here, and I think it's like it's a memory of mine, like from going to your house, and I think there was like 4 or 5 of us playing it and passing around the controller and just getting scared. I think we beat it too, right? I think we beat it. I don't think we got the good ending, but we beat it. We got an ending.
Yeah, you can always get an ending. This is not a hard game to finish. It might be hard to finish with all of the people you want to finish with.
Mm-hmm. If you want them all to live, it's a lot harder. So, but yeah. So with that, Tyler, what you been playing?
Well, this week I have been continuing to play Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. Everybody in the game says that name different, and also you can hear my dog barking in the background because
Luna.
She's yelling. She's claiming she's never been fed before in her entire life.
Really?
Yeah,
she's never been fed.
It's a lie because I heard her automatic feeder feed her. So no.
Oh, really?
So
she has eaten before.
She has eaten before. Yeah. In fact,
I
she eats multiple times a day. Anyway,
I don't know, listener. If you believe that Luna's never eaten before, send us an email at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com.
But she is currently yelling at me. We have a little ritual after dinner time where I give her some salmon oil in a bowl, and if I'm not prompt with my delivery of this, she lets me
She
out.
gets very upset. Yeah. That's okay.
I,
well, you should tell her we're almost done. So.
Yeah, but anyway, I've been playing Final Fantasy Tactics Remake Ivalice Chronicles, and spending a little bit of time still with GTA Liberty City Stories. I kind of knock out a mission here or there, and I'm hoping that one day I will have chipped away at it enough to finish it. And I think that's kind of it. I did fire up the Borderlands, the pre-sequel, the other day. I'm thinking about giving that a real college try. With all of the Borderlands drama happening right now, I'm like, I kind of got the Borderlands itch a little bit, but I don't.
Did I tell everyone I refunded it?
I think so.
Sorry, I think I did. Okay, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. But Borderlands pre-sequel, I want your input on a gameplay mechanic. So if you do start playing it, it's a pretty early mechanic, and I will ask you about it. And I'm going to see if you recognize what I'm talking about. So it'll be a little game we play.
I think I know what you're talking about. Is it the O2 stuff?
Oh my god, it's
where you're just running from bubble to bubble. Yeah, that's as far as I am. It's like they just introduced that mechanic. So
I don't know why they put that in the mechanic. Why they put that in the game? I'm like, that just seems so antithetical to Borderlands to me. It's like, now I gotta think of a gauge for breathing. Like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did not finish the pre-sequel. Okay. I did not finish that game, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's just like it didn't hold me like the other ones did. Yeah. So
I get you. Well, what you been playing, Mike?
I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6.
Tell me about it. Is it good? Because I'm thinking about buying it, but it's $70.
It's $70. I used my refunded Borderlands 4 money to buy it. So there you go.
And now Borderlands is on sale.
Now it's on sale, right? I could, if I ever want to purchase it again, which I never will. So the game is really cool. The multiplayer aspect of it, it's got that feeling like Battlefield 4 did, where you're doing ridiculous things, right? Like you're throwing C4 on stuff and running away. They've changed the classes around, so medic and support are combined, which I think is a really good choice. So you're just always, if you're like me, where you're like, okay, I got old man reflexes now, my shooting's not as good as it used to be, I can still help my team, and I'm having a good time healing tanks and blowing up vehicles as the engineer, and then reviving people as the medic. It's super fun. I did start using recon class though, and they've added this thing called the rangefinder that completely negates the whole like skill of sniping.
Oh, like does it like tell you how the bullet drop is gonna work or something?
So what you do is you point it at an enemy where you're gonna shoot or the distance you're shooting. You press the B key. It sets it in the bottom right to that's your distance, and now there's no bullet drop. Like it automatically sets it to that distance for you.
That's the whole point. That was like the funnest part of being a sniper in Battlefield games is like when you nailed that long range one and you accounted for bullet drop, felt so good. But now you don't have to do
They
that.
got rid of that. You could still do it if you want to, but you could use the rangefinder to cheat it. And I was like, oh, this feels ridiculous. Like it feels like you're a laser.
Perk that maybe takes the place of something else.
It is a attachment to your weapon.
Okay, so you could choose to not use it in favor of like a different attachment, which if you're really good at doing bullet drop, maybe you choose to do that. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but it's sniping for babies, and I love it, so I use that. Also, the assault class, what? Sniping for babies?
It's a weird word choice.
Sniping for baby? Oh yeah, it is a weird word choice. Do I cut that out?
No, I think you leave it in.
I think I leave it in. Sniping for babies does sound like you're sniping babies.
Like bobbing for apples?
Yeah, like bobbing for apples, sniping for babies. Oh, no. I'm leaving it in. I say stupid stuff all the time on this podcast. Who cares? Okay. But also, the assault class is the one that has the deploy marker now. So you know how Recon used to have like the deployment marker that you could have your friends could spawn on that marker. So if you died and that marker stayed up, you could spawn right there again.
Yeah.
They've actually made it so that's an assault thing now. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's just it feels like old Battlefield. It feels like you're doing silly stuff. Also, the funnest part about the game is if you can't shoot someone, like if they're in a really high ledge or like a building, just blow up the building. It's the funniest thing ever.
It's standard Battlefield tactics.
Yeah, it's really fun. So, I mean, I'm really liking it. The single-player campaign is fine. It just kind of... It feels fun to me because, you know, when you just want to turn your mind off and play a Disney movie? That's kind of what it feels like. Yeah. And by Disney movie, I mean it's like a ride. It's on the rails. You're like... Yeah, I guess I should say Disney ride, not Disney movie. There's no talking birds, so...
We're showing this Disney movie to the babies.
Yes, to the babies that you're sniping. Okay, so anyway... I stopped playing Silk Song.
Why'd you do that?
I thought I was done and going to Act 3, and I beat the final boss, the Act 2 boss, which is the final boss, and I didn't, and I got the ending, and I'm like, I'm going to take a break right now from this game for like a couple weeks and come back to it.
Okay.
So I am good. I know what I need to do, but also it's just like, it's a hard game, and I've put like 20-something hours into it already, so I'm like, actually, maybe more than that. Maybe up to 30-something hours now. But it's fun. It's just like a lot. It's also huge.
Yeah.
Compared to Hollow Knight, it's crazy how big that game is.
Like, play it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, it's Game Pass. And, you know, when that expires or whatever, if you're not renewing it, just get your money's worth now.
1 month's worth of Game Pass now.
Or just buy the game for $20.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the game is $20. The game is cheaper than a month of Game Pass.
Which is wild to me. But yeah, so... Yeah, I have only been playing that Battlefield 6, really. I haven't really played a lot of other games right now. I kind of want to pick up some handheld stuff, though. Like, have like a Game Boy game. Like, I have my 2DS. I don't play games on it at all, really. I'm like, maybe I should buy another game for that just to have a different experience, you know? Fire it up again. So, but yeah, good times. But yeah, that's the episode for the day. So if you want to help support us, the best thing you can do is tell your friends about us. That's the best thing you can do. Be like, hey, listen to this video game podcast. Maybe they'll like it. We don't really do ads. We don't really do anything like that, like for money. We just kind of do it for the love of the game. So also leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you listen to and follow us on YouTube and all that stuff too. That really helps as well. But with that, Tyler, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, I will. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, we did a theme song and then the goodbye.